All right. Hey everyone, Mark here. Thanks for joining me for another Greenbridge Investing Market Analysis. If you're new to the channel, please make sure to share your symbol or your market now in the chat so that once I complete my analysis, I can get through to your symbol and show you what you'd like to see. Okay, so I'm going to try to keep this within an hour today. Want to say hello to everyone in the chat. In español, huh? Okay. Estoy bien. Alice, nice to see you. Stephen, hey, thanks for joining us, Stephen. Gabriel, hey, good to see you all. Okay, cool. So let's get this thing started. All right, this is for educational purposes only. For investment advice, please consult a licensed investment advisor. So what we're going to go through, of course, is we're going to check out that economic calendar real quick. Then we're going to run through Bitcoin and a bunch of the altcoins. Now, of course, today is a market holiday, so there's not going to be much to say about like the NASDAQ and the S&P, but we will take a look at the charts, see how they closed, and talk about maybe a couple of stocks that are on the radar. So again, if you have any stocks you'd like to see, please share them and I'll take a look. Now, with that being said, I just want to say something here right at the top of the stream. If you're new to Greenbridge, please make sure to press the like button if you like the video that I'm doing here. Also, register for the channel so you get an email notification from YouTube every time I conduct one of these. Also for the Talking Market show, which is tomorrow at 4 p.m. Now, another thing real quick, I want to talk about our website. All right, so Greenbridge Investing, as you know, we have a signal service by text, a swing trade signal service by text, by email, portfolio management ideas by text, by email, and also a chat room where we've been sharing a lot of insight pretty much just about every day now, right? I mean, even on Saturdays. So we update our trade ideas and also talk about things that are on our radar. A lot of good trades come from a plan. Okay, we don't just react to stuff. Now here's another thing you need to understand. So, the pricing for 6 months, it's $2.99. That comes to about $50 a month, right? Same for Dave's. Dave's chat room focuses on just stocks, by the way. He has a very specific strategy and it's just stocks. The active investor is for stocks, Bitcoin, altcoins, Forex, and CFDs when we have trades in those markets. All right, now the yearly plan is $3.99, okay, for both. Now the thing is, that comes to about $33.25 a month. Here's the thing that I want to say about this. All right, and you can look through our website, look through our track record and all that stuff. A lot of people come for the 7-day free trial, which is what we have, right? And that trial begins as soon as you sign up. You have 7 days free before you get charged, okay? Now people, I think they come in with, maybe it's not clear on our site somewhere or they don't understand what a swing trade is, but it's very important to understand the frequency of trades. Swing trades are very high quality trade setups that are good for maybe a couple of days to a couple of weeks, maybe slightly longer, and they are infrequent. They're not like day trades. So I think people come and they're expecting day trades, meaning they want to see 2 or 3 or 4 trades a day, and that's not the setups that we're looking for in Bitcoin. Okay. Now the other thing to keep in mind is day trade. If you go to a day trade signal service, if that is what you want, no one is going to charge you $50 a month for day trades. The average price for a day trade chat room, from what I've seen, is $100 a month. That's the average price. Typically, they're more like $150 a month or higher. And what they do, by the way, is they just throw a lot of trades at you. They don't care if they work out or not. They just like, oh yeah, here's a trade signal, here's a trade signal. And people just want trade signals, okay? And more is not better in this game, right? So the advantage to swing trades, for one, is you don't have to be tied to your computer all day. It's a lot more relaxing. It's also a lot friendlier to a smaller account, okay, because you can control your risk better and you're looking to capture broader moves in the market. A lot of these service providers out there, half of them aren't even that experienced. They just put a room together, they throw some marketing together, and they're just looking to collect money. Just keep that in mind when you try out a 7-day free trial. Okay, I don't want to spend a lot of time on this part. Just wanted to mention that to you. If you have any questions, just email info@greenbridgeinvesting.com and we'll be happy to answer. I just want to make sure you understand the service that we are providing. Okay, now let's take a look here before we get into Bitcoin. Right now, I've sent out 2 trades recently on this. We're going to talk about it, but before I do, I want to mention the economic calendar because, again, it's important, especially if you're involved in Forex or other markets. It's important, okay? Forex and CFDs in particular. So, again, just real quick, we have tomorrow, we have Germany, harmonized consumer prices. Okay, that's not a market mover. ECB lending survey, not a big market mover. Now the Chinese interest rate decision, that could be potentially, any type of rate decision from any country can be a potential market mover, but usually there are no big surprises there, okay, usually. On Wednesday, we have consumer price index for the British pound, not a big market mover. We have the rate statement from Canada also coming out that day. Again, unless you're in the Canadian pair, this is probably not a major market mover, probably won't do much for the US dollar. Okay, they have their press conference. So again, if you're involved in the Canadian pair or perhaps in the Canadian stock market. Now, Australia, unemployment rate, that's also at 7:30 p.m. Eastern time that day. Again, if you're in the Aussie or maybe in New Zealand, if you're involved in that, it could have an effect, but these are not major market movers. Japan has their interest rate decision. Now, when you have a bunch of these interest rate decisions together on the same day, I mean, if there are any surprises, again, it could have an effect. But we haven't seen like any major market moves in recent times. Okay, on the 21st, we have the European Union with their interest rate decision. On Thursday, could move the euro possibly. The euro's been getting beat up, so it can maybe cause a change there. But I wouldn't be betting on any big moves here. They have their press conference. All right, now that's also on Thursday. So then Australia retail sales, these are not big market movers. Germany market manufacturing PMI on the 22nd, not a big market mover. So there's really nothing else here that's a major market mover to keep in mind or to consider. So just the interest rate decisions are potential movers if there are surprises. But what you need to understand about them, again, is just to give you some perspective. Years ago when Forex was a much hotter market and there was a lot more interest in Forex, an interest rate decision, especially if it was from the Federal Reserve, would potentially move the euro 150 pips in 5 minutes. Okay, that's a huge move for 5 minutes in the euro. Now these days, it takes about a month for the euro to move 100 pips. Okay, that's been what it's like since November. So just to kind of give you a sense of how fast these things are moving or not moving. Just something to keep in mind. So if there's a surprise in one of these reports or one of these interest rate decisions, you could get a jump here or there, but it's really more important if it's a specific Forex trade that you're in can have an effect. Okay. Now for swing trades, usually, like I said, they're usually non-events. I just wanted to point it out. Good to be aware of. All right, let's get into Bitcoin. So again, thank you. I see people are putting symbols in the chart here in the chat here, and I will get to them. So I'm going to get through my analysis real quick. I want to talk about Bitcoin, Litecoin, Ethereum. I want to talk about the support and resistance levels and our swing trade updates, right? So let's talk about Bitcoin first. The other day, right? What was it, like on Wednesday, I think it was, or perhaps it was Thursday. I sent out a swing trade idea to our members, and here I'm going to highlight the idea. It was here basically on this price action right here. The trade went green for a little bit and then it turned red, but we're still in the trade because it hasn't gone to a stop. The stop is pretty wide, and all our members know all that information. And the thing is, we saw the sell signal, right? That red candle that developed, this red candle right here. We saw the sell signal, and I warned people. I said, listen, you can exit the trade early, take the small loss, get out of that trade, but we're going to hold it to our stop because if we weren't willing to take that risk in the first place, why get into the trade? So we're still in the trade, and as you can see, it hasn't done much since then. Now, yesterday we had another signal that went off, and that was based on this little pin bar situation right here. Okay, you could see that. Oh, hold on. You can see that here, and it activated, right? It went through our buy stop, so that's in. Now I sent that out as an alternate trade, which means we are not going to add to our original swing trade. We're still in it, right? We want to keep our risk within a certain threshold, so we're not going to add to it just to add to it. I sent that out for people that missed the original one and wanted an opportunity that offered clearly defined risk and potential reward, right? The reward risk was very, very specific and based on a specific setup and structure. So I sent that out, and now today's candle is pretty much this doji situation, which is fine. It's still inside the range. Yeah, it's not going anywhere. Could it break and go to the 32s? It's possible. That will stop the alternate trade people out because I have a much tighter stop on that trade. But the thing is, if it holds this range, all right, this range is a continuation pattern. All right, these symmetrical triangles, as you can see, I have these lines coming together here. They are typically trend continuation patterns, and the trend is bullish, as we can clearly see. So if this thing breaks out, it is likely to at least go for a run, at least take out 42K, right? Because where there are higher lows, which is what this is, one broad higher low, it typically leads to a higher high. Now, one thing about this consolidation, I mentioned it in the chat room earlier. I'm labeling this as a wave 4, but it's a smaller magnitude wave 4. This is not the big wave 4 that I was anticipating, that I've been talking about previously. In order for us to see that really broad wave 4, price is probably going to have to take out 27.5. At that point, I would say that we're in the broad wave 4. Broad wave 4s are not fun, okay? They're not bearish necessarily. There's bearish price action, but it's not a change of trend. Many will come out at that point and say Bitcoin's bearish, Bitcoin's going back to 15K, all this other nonsense. But it's really not a bearish formation, it's just a broad consolidation. At that point, I will say we're in the broad wave 4, but we're not there yet. Okay, so as long as we stay above that and we keep this tight range here, this is a minor wave 4, which means that wave 5 is likely to follow next, wave 5 of 3. And that can take this thing for a ride. I mean, that's why the mid 40,000s, like 46K, it's not unreasonable for this type of breakout. Anyway, that's what I'm looking for the following week on Bitcoin and what those swing trades are anticipating, okay? Now, so let's take a look at some of these other coins here, because again, I want to spend more time on the coins before I get into the stocks. Let's talk about Ethereum. So, and we sent out a swing trade in Ethereum as well earlier today, and that's basically, you know, following the Bitcoin lead. But as you can see, it's not doing anything, right? This price action is similar in a sense to Bitcoin. If Bitcoin does not follow through, neither is this. Okay, you have the higher low here, and you basically have a similar type of triangle. It's not exactly the same, but you know, it has the same effect. Again, these things do not trade on their own. So if Bitcoin doesn't break out, this is probably not going to break out. Okay, and probably start breaking some supports. The next support on Ethereum, if it clears out this level right here, which is what, basically 930. If it clears out 930, right, you're looking at this old consolidation around the 700 level. That's what you're looking at. That would probably coincide with 27,500 for Bitcoin. Okay, something to keep in mind. Now, let's take a look at Litecoin real quick. So again, it's not a good idea to have trades, especially swing trades, in all of these, because it's all the same trade. All you're doing is taking a larger position. You could think of it as taking just a larger position in Bitcoin, because they're going to move with Bitcoin. If they were on their own, that would be a different story. But I just have to emphasize, they're not on their own. Now, let's take a look at some levels on Litecoin real quick, right? So Litecoin, again, consolidating. No big surprise there. And you got this little higher low developing. Okay, that's fine. As long as Bitcoin does its job, I would expect this thing to go for the breakout, right? Which would be what, the high 170 area? What is that? 186 is the high. So I would be expecting, you know, upon a Bitcoin breakout, also a breakout of Litecoin. Again, if Bitcoin fails, this thing, I don't care if it takes out this little higher, this lower high right here, 156. It doesn't matter if it takes that out, because if Bitcoin doesn't go anywhere, this thing is not going to go very far. The broad range is what's in play here, not this little mini price action. So what is that, 118 low to basically 180 area high, that's the range. It needs to clear that range. It needs to clear those 180s. So any type of formation inside of that is most likely going to be random unless Bitcoin leads the way. Now, the trend is bullish on here as well. So I'd be expecting that higher high, but the lead will come from Bitcoin. Okay, so those are the three main coins. Now, I've been getting a lot of questions about things like DOT and VET and you know, a bunch of these other ones. So I want to take a look at those as well. Now, before I do, let's go into the stock market real quick so we can have some idea of what to anticipate, you know, as the week unfolds, right? Because today is Monday and tomorrow the market's open, right? So this is the NASDAQ, and While the futures were open today, right? The futures were open. Since the stocks were not, I mean, yeah, okay, I see the futures are a little green there, but you're not going to expect much out of the futures if the stock market's closed. So what this is, it's up 38 points, whatever. It doesn't mean anything. Now, the price action or the chart is basically showing a potential higher low. Okay, so as you know, where there is a higher low, a higher high is likely to follow. Right, that's where we are right there. So that's a sign of strength for tomorrow. Plus, it's basically a failed low relative to this little pin bar back at 12,779, earlier in the previous week. So this thing is actually setting up for a long, right? That's the NASDAQ 100. If that's the case, then we're looking at a bullish day tomorrow, possibly going into Wednesday, as long as this candle here stays intact, okay, that green candle. If it sells off overnight for whatever reason, then we're looking at a possible test of the 12,650 area, okay, which is a support over here. This trend has not broken. All right, now I've been seeing a lot of people, a lot of reports saying, oh, big pullback coming in the market. Market's going to correct, 15%, blah, blah, blah. Okay, do I believe that stuff? I think it's within reason based on the location and where we are. But the thing is, right now at this moment, there's really nothing says that that's next. Okay, the trend hasn't broken. I'll believe that type of move is coming when we start breaking supports. Okay, and that first one is 12.6. Right, that's the first one that needs to. All right, my stream. You know how the internet is. Sorry about that. My stream cut off there a bit. So anyway, I'm not going to spend much more time on this thing, but all I'm saying is the aggressive way to play a short on something like this would be to wait till it goes up here. All right, that's what you want to do. And the way to do that is you buy puts in something like you buy puts in like the SPY, the QQQ, or you can buy calls in the UVXY. UVXY is a very speculative instrument, and the likelihood of losing money, especially buying calls, is very high. So you really have to understand what you're doing with stuff like that. Anyway, so that's that. Let's take a look at the SPX USD. Let's take a look at that real quick. Right, S&P 500, same deal. So if we get that higher low, we're looking at a potential strong market, at least for the early part of the week. Now, a couple of stocks that I'm interested in, okay, that I'm looking to send out a swing trade for is Renewable Energy Group, okay, Reggie. Remember this? We had a trade of the week on this a while back, and look at that pin bar. I like it. Higher low situation. We take out that pin bar high, which it may gap up tomorrow. I don't know. But that's one possibility that I'm looking to send out as a swing trade. Okay, I mean that's what's on my radar right now. Other stocks that I've been watching carefully, Nikola. That stock's been showing. It had this little recent pop over here. This little recent price action. I'm not going to chase something like that, but see the red candle may pull it back a bit, and I'll be interested in a potential long. I've been watching this one carefully because even though some negative news came out, a month and a half ago, whatever, I still think this one, has potential in the electric vehicle market. I don't care about the fundamentals. I'm just betting that other speculators are going to jump into this thing because there's, that gambling froth is all over the place. That's why I'm watching it. Okay, I don't have any special. Any special like for the company. Other ones that I'm watching, FUV. I mean, these are all electric vehicle, right? BLNK, electric vehicle. They're pulling back a bit, so you want to have them on your radar. WKHS, workhorse, pullback. Okay, beautiful. That's what we want to see. There was another one, Westwater Resources was WWR. Now this one, look at this one. This is one of those potential, like, in a month you'd be like, why didn't I buy this thing? Right at $5 because it's consolidating. So just something to keep in mind there. Another potential big mover, but it's not at the best price, which is not an electric vehicle stock, is this one. So keeping an eye on this one. It's had a move. It ran to like this $2. Looks like pretty dramatic, but when you zoom out, right, for the longest time, this stock at one point was $80 and it went to 50 cents. Okay, a couple of years ago it was $80. So watch for a pullback or something on this, watching this one. This one may offer some potential, this TRXC, okay? It's a biotech or pharmaceutical, whatever. So just something to keep in mind there. All right, so I just want to run through a couple of those real quick, all right? as far as stocks. Now, one other one before I move on to your chat is gold, XAU, USD. Gold, we had a swing trade in this. It got stopped out. Gold is tricky. Now, this is why we were so careful with the gold CFD and how tricky it is. Look, gold was weak. It gave us a buy signal about a week ago or whatever. Got stopped out. And now look at this candle, right? Look at this candle. Pin bar, failed low situation. This is another buy signal. If it takes out that pin bar high, 1840. So you figure 1843, 1845-ish, something like that. Now, if you're in the mining stocks, this doesn't really matter, okay? The mining stocks, you know, it's a position trade, it's inventory, it's a different story. But the CFD itself is, like I said, it's tough to trade. But I'd be open to sharing another long signal on this for those that are interested, okay? I'll send something out on that, you know, on the close of this candle, and we'll see if it goes. But again, not all these things work out, right? That's part of trading. So you get tapped out, you get back in, the next one works, it usually makes your money back because our reward risk, you know, is set up that way. You're looking to make more than you typically lose over time. If you stick to that, you know, you'll come out ahead, but it's not easy. All right, now, so that's gold real quick. Euro, right, is going to be in a similar situation. Look at that little pin bar. So this is obviously an effect of the US dollar. And if we look at that dollar index, right, look at the dollar index getting a little top heavy here, right, a little top heavy. This trend, as while the US dollar is trying to recover, this is not a trend reversal. This is not a bullish trend just yet. One may develop, but at this moment, I would not classify this as bullish, which means gold is still a long. It still potentially would be looking for a long, and possibly even with the euro. All right, anyway, so that's all I'm going to say right now on these. Let me get to your stuff before I overdo this here. Let's see, 22 minutes. Okay, not bad. All right, so let's get to the chat. Hey, good to see you, Alice, and all right, Stephen, okay, I said hi to everyone, okay. Gabriel, got you. All right, Stephen, I thought we had it bad in the Netherlands. Oh, oh yeah, you guys are crazy here with the time. 3 p.m. Wait, it's oh man, no, in Dubai. Yeah, I don't know. That's a commitment right there. That's a commitment. Okay, but yeah, but you know, then you get these guys from Australia who show up in here at 3 a.m. So they kind of have you beat sometimes. All right, let's see. Ricky, hey, good to see you. All right, so we'll start with here with Alice says, I entered a swing trade in INJUSDT with a buy stop at 650. What do you think? All right, let's take a look. So let's see here. INJUSDT, is that the symbol? INJ, okay. Wow, let's take a look at you got into this thing at, so Alice bought this thing at 650. Now, Alice, I just out of curiosity, now what prompted you to buy this in general? Just what was your thought process? Let's see, I'm just going to put 650. So 650 is right there. All right. While you're answering that. So this is a beautiful chart. Okay, definitely a beautiful chart. I see nothing but higher lows and I see a higher high. So you're in this thing from 650, it's at 730, things in your favor. Good, it was an aggressive trade, but hey, it's working in your favor. I would define risk. Now, he mentions where he defined his risk. And let's see, so stop at 580. So he put it in T1, 790, T2, 1050. Okay, great. So Alice, where did you learn all that, by the way? 580 is his stop. So let's see, that's about here. And that's what I was going to say, around there. Yeah, that makes sense. Okay, you got the higher low. So if it takes that out, you don't really want to be in it anymore. All right, so that all makes sense. And your first target is 790, right? And today's high is 749. Yeah, it all makes sense. And you have this nice vertical bar. Talk about, this thing's doing its own thing, right? As we saw, Bitcoin's not doing much, and this thing has a breakout. That's, when they're doing their own thing, when they're outperforming, that's a good sign. So at this moment, I would let this ride. Nothing to do here, but let it do its job. And now you have your first target. Yeah, nothing wrong with trying to let that thing go for it, because there's no sell signal. You don't have a pin bar here. You don't have anything. There's nothing here. So yeah, let it go for that 790, just below the whole number 8. That's fine. And then from there, yeah, your targets are within reason. and you don't have a T3, so you want to try to let some ride, no problem. Yeah, I like it. If this support breaks at 580, then you're looking at 490 or basically $5 as your next support, okay, which may offer another opportunity if it does something like that. But at this moment, it doesn't look like that's the case. So nice trade, very nice trade. I don't know where these pop up, but yeah, I would have that would have been worth a. Well, I don't know if I would have called that. Maybe, I don't know. I mean, that's not exactly the inside bar and all. That would have been aggressive, so I probably wouldn't have sent that out. I probably would have said that's too aggressive for our members. Okay, anyway, I'm censoring here. So nice job, Alice. Nice job. Thanks for sharing. So Stephen, okay, so catching up now. So Visa, VISA. So this is stock. Let's take a look here. Do I have? No, it's just V. So, all right, nice pullback. I like that. Let's take a look at the bigger picture and see what's going on. So as you know, when I evaluate these things, right, I'm basically doing a step-by-step process, even though I don't explain it a lot of times. The first thing I'm looking for is a trend, okay? Then I'm looking for levels. Then I'm looking at price action. Those are the three categories of information that I'm basically evaluating here. So the trend, right, from that April low, I would say we have a higher low over here, right? So we can argue that this recent trend is generally bullish. You have another one over here, another higher low. It's been more in short term, it's been more a little bit more range bound. All right, fine. But the broader trend is bullish. Now, as far as levels, we have a support right here at what is that, 203. So that's near the 200 whole number support, right? Okay. That would be a psychological level. And there is a bunch of, if we go back a bit, there is some price action at that 200 level. Okay, there is some price action there dating back to like May. So that makes sense. Okay, so good location. And now let's look at the price action. You have this doji. So indecision at a support level. I think it's a good candidate for a swing trade long. Something like this could also be an investment as well, a position trade, because of the nature of the stock. I mean, it's Visa. Okay, it's not like we're getting involved in a cannabis stock here. So nice pullback, failed low area, right, relative to this previous low back in December. So it's a good candidate for a long. What it needs to do is take out that high of 203 or something. It needs to do something like that. Okay, show a stronger candle. And your risk, if you're interested in a swing trade, risk can be defined by a number slightly below 200, probably like 199.50 or something for a swing trade. If it's a position trade, then it's just a matter of putting on depending on what your target allocation is, and then putting on a small position relative to that allocation. So for example, if you're looking to invest, let's say $2,000 into something like this, and you want to buy, $200 worth, which would be 10% of your allocation, then, why 10%? Well, because you're on a low here, right? You're not on a high. So it makes sense to put on a little bit more, even though you're not putting on all 2,000 at the same price. Okay, I don't have to explain that to you, Jay. I'm just mentioning that to people that don't know the difference between a position trade and a swing trade. Okay, so I like it. Definitely a good candidate. Thanks for bringing that one up. Gabriel, can we see DOT and XRM? Sure. So DOT, I actually shared a chart recently on DOT. And so DOT had this nice run. I think Alice was in this one too. Alice is he's always in these crazy movers. He's always in like from the bottom. Nice move, right? Definitely bullish. Higher low, nice higher high. Recent price action is pulling back a bit here, right? Now, I have some projections at $20 and at $23. So those are potential resistance levels that obviously hasn't made it to yet. At this point, with these red candles, I would anticipate just more pullback until it gives us some sort of reversal, like a pin bar, a bullish pin bar, or an inside bar. We don't really have that. Now, these two red candles are inside the range of that large green one, right? So we can classify these two as just an inside bar. And if you take out the high of that inside bar, you'll have a buy signal at basically $18.30. So that can give you an idea of the beginning of the next leg higher. So that's one thing to consider for a swing trade. Your risk will have to be defined at around 16.5, which are the low of those inside bars. But the support that's in play is at this 14.5 area or 1430 area, right? So it's possible that price can test that area. That would be a much more attractive area for a swing trade on DOT. But I like it. As long as this momentum stays intact, as long as that support stays intact, I would be looking for the higher low and the higher high into those resistances. Okay, so definitely a good candidate, definitely a good one for the radar. I'll be watching that one as well for potential swing trade. Now, XRM, which is XRM, Ripple, right? XRM, right? Yeah, XRM, USDT. Why isn't it giving it to me? USD. What's the problem here? XRM. Oh, do I have the wrong thing here? XRM. Do I have the right symbol, or did you give me the wrong symbol? Oh, do you mean XRP maybe? Or do you mean XMR, right? There's XRP or XMR. So I'm guessing you mean XRP, I'm guessing. So, oh yeah, info, pal. I got you there. We're going to take a look at info. So here's XRP, if this is what you meant, Ripple. And I have not been a big fan of this one at all. They had that negative news that knocked the wind out of it, right? And everyone was interested and blah, blah, blah. Now, it's trying to deliver a higher low. Okay, that's fine. But compared to like Bitcoin and all these other tokens and stuff, like this one has just not been performing well. So look, we can look at this in two ways. We can look at it the technical way, and then we can look at it from the relative strength perspective, right? So the technical way, we have the higher low developing here. You have a support at, what is this, about 26, yeah, around this 27 cent area, something like that, 26, 27. You have your support that's in play around 22 cents or 20 cents. I mean, it bottomed out right here at, what is that, 17 cents, and it's been trying to hold, it's trying to develop some sort of stability from a technical point of view. So, okay, that you have that going for it. If you're interested in taking some risk here, you have to keep in mind with something like this. This is not a very good one for swing trades because of all of this price noise. You have a slight pullback, so if you want to get involved in it, okay, just keep in mind that this thing's got some negative news in it, and if that follows through, you can break that 17-cent area. So the way to play this is you use size to control your risk. You don't necessarily put stops. So again, if you want to invest, let's say you want to invest like $500 into something like this, right? Well, you're not going to buy all 500 right now. You buy maybe $50 worth. If it pulls back more, you buy another $50, and then you work your way up into buying $500 worth. Hopefully at that point it starts to break out, okay? If it takes out 37 cents, then you may have yourself at least a bullish trend developing again at that point. But at this point, you know, the overall trend is not good, all right? And it's likely to be range bound like a lot of its peers. So just something to keep in mind there. I mean, if you believe in the project and you like it, I would work with this more as a position trade and allocate some capital to it and hope for the best. And it can go to zero, okay? So now that's really like the technical perspective. From the relative strength perspective, Bitcoin is basically near its highs, and it's pushed some important highs, and Ripple has not, right? That's relative weakness, which means if Bitcoin has a serious pullback, this thing is probably going to, you know, start testing supports. That's something you have to keep in mind, okay? Fundamentally, I don't even want to talk about it. So that's what is going on there. Those are the things I would consider. You know, why not fundamentally? Because a lot of times it doesn't really matter. With these coins, there really are no fundamentals. There are just a lot of good stories, right? It's not like we're talking about stocks here that are regulated or that are public companies who have to report stuff, you know, that are over, they're regulated, right? And they have to show some sort of transparency. These coins can do whatever they want. So that's why on the fundamental side, they could talk about all the good stories they want to talk about. It doesn't really mean anything. Most of them don't even produce anything. It's not like, you know, at least cannabis stocks produce something, even though they're highly speculative. And they've been doing well recently, as Jay knows, right? We took a lot of pain in those stupid stocks. Anyway, all right, Alice. All right, so that's XRP. I answered HS's question there. Now, info. Let's go back to info. So this is one from Pow's been asking about info. IHS Market Limited. And let's see what their story is. So trend, bullish, no question. Okay, let's take a look at levels. What levels do we have here? We have a support level right there. We have a resistance level right around here. Okay, then we have the peak right there. Okay, that's fine. Now, so this trend is generally bullish, and you're back at a support. It closed strong on Friday. All right, this is good. And also on top of that, nice formation. You have a failed low. This is a failed low. So definitely a good long candidate. Take out this high, 85.73. That would be your buy signal. Now, should you buy it right at the break of 85.73? No, you should probably give it a little room. Okay, let it work. Let it prove itself. So maybe 86 even would be a good place, or maybe the high of this previous candle, which is 86.50, something like that. Make the market work a bit. Your risk will be defined by the low, 83.52. So you figure 83 and a quarter. Always give it a little more room. Don't put it exact, because everyone else puts it exactly at the bottom, right at the low of the candle. So you're risking about $3, something like that, about $3 for potential of. You can squeeze 3 out of this, even if it goes to this range high in those low 90s. It's worth the risk, I think. And if it breaks that resistance in those low 90s, then you have potential to reach, what, 100 is the peak. So that's the reward risk makes sense in terms of potential. I like it. So definitely a candidate for a long. INFO. I'll definitely have to keep this one on the radar. This may be trade of the week. This may be trade of the week, pal. So thanks for bringing that one up. All right, let's see what else we have. Gabriel, can we see ETH as well? Okay, so I went over ETH earlier. If you want to see it again, let me know, but I covered that one at the beginning. FSLY. Okay, so this one was a previous trade of the week, I believe, or it may have been a swing trade that we sent out to members. I can't remember because we have so many of them. So FSLY. Now, this one, right, I remember this one stopped everyone out and we got back in and we had a little run in there. So here's the thing with this. You're in a range, right? So let's talk about some of the levels, the key information here. So one thing you have to keep in mind with these charts. So what I'm doing here is I'm extracting the information that carries the most value, right? And if you're new to this, that's what you need to learn how to do. Oscillators are not going to give you a lot of value, not for these type of trades. Fundamentals are not going to give you a lot of value for short-term oriented trades. Are they bad? No, they're not necessarily bad, but you want to extract the most information that has the most value to make decisions. We're not going to be able to make decisions on 100% of information. We have to make decisions on incomplete information, like a poker player. That is what we're doing as a swing trader. So that's why I'm pointing out to certain things. My charts are usually blank like this because I'm only pulling out, I'm keeping things simple and looking at the information that carries the most value. And then I'm able to make much better decisions and more decisive decisions rather than getting confused by an oscillator. Look, there's our old trade in there, right? The buy stop was at 73.50, as you can see. So now in this situation, you're in the middle of the range. Recent price action, bearish. That's a bearish outside bar. So I don't like that, okay? Now comparing that to something like INFO, right? This is like the opposite. Not attractive at all, not good for a swing trade long. What I would be looking for is a test of this level here, 81.5 basically. That would give you the potential failed low scenario, followed by, of course, you need like a bullish reversal in that area. So that's the area I'd be looking at. Now you are competing with a lower high at that point. This is the lower high, this top of that outside bar. That's the lower high, but this is not a bearish trend. As you can see, the overall trend going all the way back to July is pretty much range bound. So anything at the range lows is going to carry the most weight, the most probability, right? That 73 area, if it tests the recent low, right, that extreme low, if it manages to go that low, right, this range from basically the low 80s to the low 60s is going to offer potential buying opportunities, okay, for swing trades, this whole range. But of course, the price action needs to confirm, and you need to have a setup and all that stuff. A lot of people, when I mention levels, a lot of people ask me, oh, do I buy it because it's at the level? No, you can't just buy it at a level because the level alone can be random. So you need some more information. You need a setup and you need confirmation. As Powell mentioned a little earlier there, right? I think the euro, he mentioned that we had a potential setup and it didn't work out, right? Because it didn't follow through, no confirmation. So it saves you a lot of money, it minimizes stop outs, I should say. All right, so that's what I say about Fastly. If you have any questions, let me know. HS, okay, so HS, I went over XRP. All right, Alice, anyone have any good altcoins for longer term? I don't know, Alice. You're the one that seems to come up with all the good altcoins around here. I mean, man, I don't know. So Manuel says ParseQ, great for long term. Yeah, so that I've been looking at this one. It's PRQ. I'll tell you one thing I don't like about PRQ is it's on Poloniex. Okay, and that's an inconvenience. I like to see if it's on Coinbase or a more common exchange. This is a pain. Now I'm sure you can just open up an account at Poloniex and blah blah blah, but it just becomes too cumbersome. So if you want to go through all that, okay, that's cool. The chart bullish, no question. But again, this is benefiting from that trend of all these decentralized finance, whatever, right? It's benefiting from all that. It's basically like the flavor of the week type of thing. You have to be careful with that. These are highly speculative. None of these are really like long-term, I would not consider these conservative long-term investment grade type of instruments. These are not like, it's not like you're talking about buying shares of Apple, right? Or buying shares of Walmart or something that pays a good dividend and is a solid company, right? These are all a lot of good ideas. So just something to keep in mind. Are they bad to hold long term? No, not at all. Some of them are going to be big winners in the long run. Just like back from the dot-com era, many of the stocks that were around back then, you don't even know about today, okay? A lot of promise, a lot of potential, and blah, 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 and they all went to zero. Many of these will go the same way. Now, so what do? You just take a smaller allocation, an aggressive part of your portfolio, and say, okay, I'm willing to lose this, $1,000 here, and I'm going to invest them in these altcoins, $100 each or whatever, and that's it. That's how you play these. Some people, they throw $50,000 into something like this. That's a very, very risky thing to do. These are not investment grade instruments. These are like penny stocks. That's the mindset you must have. All right. And then and the reason why I say that, it's not to be discouraging. The reason why I say that is so that you can have a better sense of risk and manage your risk based on your own personal tolerance. You may say, well, I don't mind risking $25,000 if they go to zero. I don't care if I lose $25,000. Okay, that's your risk tolerance. That's up to you. Okay, but I just at least want you to be aware. So anyway, ParseQ, nice structure, right? Looks like it's going for that higher high, breaking out that inside bar. Okay, beautiful. Would I buy at this price? No, I just wouldn't. Okay, I'd rather see the pullback. Doesn't look like it's pulling back right now, but you know how these things go. It may pop up a little further, then pull back, kind of like what DOT is doing. But nice, what I do like about this is right now, it's doing its own thing. Okay, relative to Bitcoin, it's outperforming because Bitcoin is just doing nothing, and this thing's going for its high. So I do like that. All right, definitely one for the radar. Definitely one to, if you do want to put on an investment type of position, at least wait for a pullback. But here's one thing, and I mentioned this to someone in our free chat room. If you want to invest in something, you don't have to throw all, let's just say you're going to invest $1,000, right? Like I said, you don't throw all 1,000 in. You say, okay, which in the advantage to doing something like that is it frees you up from technical analysis. You can buy at any price, but you're not going to buy all $1,000. So if it continues higher, at least you have a little piece of it. If it pulls back, you're not going to get shaken out because you didn't take a ridiculous amount of risk. So let's say you have $1,000. Okay, you buy since this is on a high, you buy $50 worth. Okay, you still have $950 worth of money on the side to invest. On a pullback, perhaps you buy $100 worth because now you're buying a better price. You want to buy more of it, right? Until eventually you average in your full $1,000, which may take you a few days or maybe a week or longer to average into. That is a better technique to control your risk. If this thing completely gives the move back, you don't have to keep putting money in. So maybe you've invested $300, right, or $400 of your 1,000, and this thing pulls all the way back to like, what is that, 90 cents or whatever. And you're like, oh man, I don't know. Now you stop and you wait, okay, and you're only, less than 50% invested for your target allocation, and you wait for it to stabilize. If this thing goes to zero, you're out of your $400, but you don't care. You were going to risk $1,000, right? So that makes you a strong hand. So that's the way I would consider something like that. All right. So yeah, that's PRQ. Manuel. Okay, cool. So travel. Hey, greetings from Italy. Nice. Italy. What part of Italy are you in? Okay, let's see what else we got here. Are you sure we are still bullish? I guess you're talking about Bitcoin. Daryl Finn. Oh, I guess Daryl's from Ireland with that shamrock. I'm guessing. I don't know. So you sure we're still bullish? Now, if you're talking about Bitcoin, let's go back to Bitcoin here real quick. Yeah, I'm sure we're bullish. Why? How am I sure? Well, the broader trend is what I'm evaluating. Not this little price action here is not the broader trend. Now, many people will confuse that. They'll look at their 30-minute chart or they'll look at their 5-minute chart and they'll say, oh, but the trend is bearish. Right, on your 5-minute chart. But 5-minute charts carry no weight for swing trades. They're for day trades, and even then, they can be very problematic and very noisy and random. So they don't really mean much, okay? The broader trend is bullish, right? I see nothing but higher lows and higher highs, right? We have the higher high at 40K, and this broader consolidation is just one giant higher low, which can linger for a little while, you know, maybe another few days, maybe another week, whatever, but hopefully not. And then it breaks out, right? And it should go for the higher high. So yeah, I'm definitely bullish. There's nothing bearish about this chart. Not yet, anyway. Doesn't mean it can't turn at some point, right? You always have to have an open mind. But based on this price action, there's nothing bearish here. Okay, so block. Best long-term alt, 5 years. I don't have any. I mean, I don't have any alts that I believe in, you know, unless you want to believe in these great stories that come out of them. Probably people like Alice and some of these other, and Manuel, maybe Manuel, like he says PRQ, maybe they have a better suggestion, but I don't. I mean, as far as, like, I'm talking about those cheap ones. You know, what are good long-term alts? The ones that we like, you know, that Andrew and I talk about, and the ones that we put money into with our portfolio, Monero. But Monero's not cheap, right? This is Monero, clear trend, right? It's just consolidating a bit, but this thing has been an outperformer, so definitely Monero. Litecoin, as long as Litecoin continues to do its job, Litecoin and Ethereum, right? I mean, you can't really get beyond those. Those are the big winners. That's where all the big money's going, as you can see from the charts. But as far as the cheap penny stock ones, they're a gamble. So the best strategy for those is you find a few that you like. You throw small amounts of money into each one. So like, for example, let's say you have $5,000 to invest. So you're going to find 5 of them and you're going to allocate $1,000 each, right? And then probably 3 out of those 5 or maybe 4 will do nothing and go to 0. And hopefully 1 will be your home run, okay? Another big one people talk about is Chainlink, LINK, USD. How's Chainlink been doing? Look at that. Someone in here, I think it was Scott or someone, has been in this since like $2. Wow. And he was asking me for some resistance levels on this thing. Hopefully he's still in that. But what a move, right? Chainlink. I was not happy about Chainlink back in December. I was criticizing it because of this price action back here. Relatively weak to what Bitcoin was doing. But it changed its tune. Okay. Can you buy Chainlink now? I wouldn't. And not as a swing trade anyway. You know, let this thing pull back. Let it find support around, what is this, $18. And as far as an investment, again, if you like the idea, you start putting money toward it, right, and try to build out an average price. Remember, they look good right now, but as Jay can tell you, so did the cannabis stocks 2 years ago. They looked amazing, and these things were going to go to 100 and CGC and blah, 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 and pot is the next big thing, and it's good for you, and it's healthy, and blah, 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 right? The cannabis stocks for 2 years, CGC went from like $50 to $7, just so you know. It's back at like 30 whatever, right? Here, let's take a look at CGC real quick. But I'm just giving you an example, right? Look at CGC. It closed at 33.40. This thing was at $7 going back to the March low, okay? $7. Look at that. So don't get sucked into the hype. When everyone's talking about, oh, these altcoins, these are going to be the future, they were saying the same thing in 2017. And things like IOTA, right? Take a look at IOTA real quick. Remember IOTA? Right now it's popping a bit. Okay, great. But let's look at the bigger picture of IOTA, right? The Internet of Things, it's going to be the future of, and their technology is much more. They solved the scaling problem of Bitcoin and blah 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 and all this other nonsense. Let's go back. Let's just go back a bit and see where IOTA came from and where it is now. So, just going back to, well, this chart only goes back to, what is that, 2018 maybe? And this thing was at $2. Back in 2017, I know it was around $4. It went as high as, I think, $4 almost. Let me see if I can find an exchange and I can show that to you. Does Binance have it? Okay, yeah, Binance is a little bit better. Look at this. Look at this, right? So I'm just bringing this up because this was a really hot story at one time. Look at this. This thing was as high as, what did I say, $5 or $6 back in 2018 peak. You see that? And then, since 2019, it's done nothing. Now, it looks a little exciting, recent price action, but when you're buying into hype, this is what you're buying into. You're buying into, oh, they're going to be the future of this. They're going to replace Bitcoin, blah, 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 blah. All right? If you believe that nonsense, that's the risk you're taking. Most of these altcoins are like that, okay? And this is the risk you're taking. So there were people calling for all these things and telling you to invest a $100,000 portfolio into all these garbage coins, and they gave back 90% of their value. These things like PRQ and the rest of them, they're the same type of situation. And they're, no, but it's different this time. It's not different. It's the same. So you have to keep that in mind. And I'm not talking about this again. I don't want to be discouraging. I'm just kind of giving you a sense of risk, okay? Because people don't think about risk. They only get sucked into a good story. Oh, but it's the future. It can't be good. It can't lose 90% of its value. It can. So just something to keep in mind. Most of these don't produce anything. So anyway, here's IOTA. And this stupid thing is trying to break out of this range while Bitcoin went to 42K. This thing is here. Now it's starting to get a little, okay, whatever. A lot of speculators, a lot of gamblers, speculative froth, a lot of money floating around there. They'll throw their money into anything. But once the music stops, and I've mentioned this like musical chairs, once the music stops, you better have a seat, to sit on, because they're all going to pull back again, and it's not going to be fun. And they can linger for, another year or two or whatever. Just something to keep in mind. All right. Again, risk first. All right. Now let's see what else we got here. So Laura, hey Laura, can you please look at Link? All right. So I just covered Link. I'll cover Link a little more. I'll put the levels on Link. Okay. So you can see. Let me get a better chart here. Link, LINK-USD. Let me just. Is this a better chart? No, not really. LINK-USD. Let's take a look. Coinbase. No, how about TradingView from Binance? That's a better chart, right? All right. So I'm just going to give you some support and resistance levels real quick. Chainlink has definitely been one on a lot of people's radars. And hey, if it wants to produce a good structure, I'm all for it. Okay, but as a swing trader, I wouldn't really bet on long term on a lot of these. But again, you want to hold on to some. As long as it's a reasonable amount. This is a question you need to answer. If it goes to zero, how uncomfortable am I going to be? If you've only risked $100 or $500 or something and it goes to zero, you're going to be like, I don't care. But if you put like $50,000 at risk and it goes to zero, I don't know, I'm sure some people can handle that, but a lot of people probably wouldn't be too happy about that. All right, so just something to keep in mind. That's the question that only you can answer. So as far as this thing, 17 is your first support. Okay, there's some support over here. What is this, $20 area? But there's not a lot. Well, actually, there's some back here. You can argue that there's some around 20. All right, so I'll give 20. I'll call it a support because you have an old resistance, a nice peak going back to August. All right, that's fine. So you have some support there, but again, that would be for like a swing trade, not investment. That's not an investment level. It's too tight. Third, so you have 20, 17 and a half, and basically 14. Those are your levels on Link that I'd be watching for. All right, and let me just see, are those new highs on Link? Yeah, those look like all-time highs on Link. So Link it's probably gonna, I don't have any targets on this thing right now. I'm gonna have to figure those out. Okay, but at this moment, there's no reason to swing trade it. And like I mentioned in a few examples here, if you want to start taking small bites, okay, you could buy them at any price. You control your risk with your size. So you have to figure out how much you want to allocate overall and then start working from there. Okay, So that's Link, ATOM. Let's see, ATOM. I'm guessing that's also a coin. Yes. All right. Oh, nice. New highs. So again, that right off the bat, that's a good sign. Okay. While Bitcoin is floundering, this thing is doing its own thing. Okay. Not bad. Again, there's going to be a lot of hype around these things. A lot of hype, a lot of, talk of the future and blah, blah, blah. Don't just ignore it. Let the chart tell you what to do. Now, you broke out of this resistance here. What is that? Basically the mid sixes. And nice breakout. This is for swing trades. This is not a good price because you're at these highs. And let me see, was this thing higher at one point? I can't see that if it was. It doesn't look like it. So I don't like to chase things. I would leave this thing alone until it finds a support. So your next support right now is basically in those mid sixes. You have a breakout going on right now, inside bar breakout situation. That's, if you want to try to day trade that, but I would not recommend these for day trades. All right, especially if you're new, just leave it alone. There'll be more opportunities. Keep it on your radar. In fact, I'll put this on my radar and see, if we get a pullback, then it might be worth mentioning. Okay, but these are probably better candidates, at least for, position trades, aggressive. I'll call them aggressive position trades, because you don't want to put a lot of money into these things, okay? And you want to kind of spread it out into different ones, because these are like lottery tickets. You don't know which one is going to be, the winner out of all of them. Many of them will not. So Uni, okay, I've had questions about Uni. So let's see, Uni, let's see, USDT, let's see, okay. On its highs, all right. I'm guessing these are all connected because they're all pretty much doing the same thing. And so support and resistance levels, right? The thing is strong, no question. Trend is bullish. These are your levels. So you have a support at 4, and you have a support around that $6 area or 6.5 area. Here, let me try that again. What is this level here? Yeah, I'd say around those. It's good to, yeah, around that 650 area. I'll give it that around there. So you want to see a retrace. As far as getting better prices, those are your better prices. This thing's on its highs, so it can pull back, right? These things usually do. You want to take your tiny bite over here, and then as it pulls back to a better price, you can consider averaging into it, like I've mentioned a few times earlier. So not bad, strong, and those are your supports. I don't really have any other resistance levels. You can look at the $10 area. It's probably going to be a resistance because whole numbers usually are. That first bar went all the way to 15 and gave it back. So 15 might actually be a level, but it's hard to say at this point. Okay, can't really go by one. This could be a bad price or whatever this could be up here. So I can't really go by that. So those are your supports at least. I would start with that. So thanks for bringing that up. I'm gonna have to track these more carefully since they're in play, and share more charts of these in the chat room and stuff. So thanks for bringing that one up. XTZ, so Tezos. We've had this one brought up a few times. Tezos. And okay, look, it's trying to do its thing. I remember HS asked about this one recently, and I remember telling HS, it's garbage, right? And now look, it's trying to break out. All right. So it's trying to do its thing. But here's why I'm not a big fan of these, right? The relative strength situation. Bitcoin flounders, right? This thing is probably responding to, Uni and Atom and the rest of them all trying to push their highs. And this thing's trying to break out. Nice move off of that low. Now, one thing I mentioned to HS back when I talked about this is if you want to get involved in these things, a lot of times it's best to wait for those range lows, because that's where your probability is probably the best as far as it turning around, because there are other buyers that will probably step in there, right? Buying it at the range high, this can easily fake out and fail here, especially since this one is a lagger relative to the other ones, right? The other ones are all pushing their highs, right? We just looked at Atom, we just looked at Uni, they're all pushing highs. This one is just trying to break out of a range. So it's relatively weak, which means if those others pull back, this one's going to go straight back to its support most likely. So I wouldn't chase this one, okay? But you want to keep it on the radar and find a more opportune level. Like I shared here, like $2, $2.25, $2.40. Those would be better places to consider it. Okay, so hope that answers your question. Alice, good project with bullish chart and a pullback. Alts are hot, and I think 10 can trade here. Okay, entered a buy stop with a thought. Okay, oh, so that was his rationale for the trade earlier that we looked at, which was Man, I forgot the ticker on that one. Yeah, I'm going to look it up here. INJ USDT. Right. So that's good rationale. Right. Alts are hot. So these speculative froth, they're going to be chasing all of these. So chances are, it'll go his way. And he's got targets in there. He's got his risk defined. Entered a buy stop. Thought if it breaks, okay, right, good thought process. That's a rational thought process. He's not reacting to stuff. He's considering the context of the situation. It wasn't a big position since we're at all-time highs. See, there you go. Risk controlled. That's the way you want to do it, like Alice just described. Oh, Gabriel, Monero. Okay, so I did mention Monero. I'll mention it again, though, since I talked about Ripple. But, I'll put some levels on Monero, since you're looking for Monero specifically. So you have support there at 134. Okay, that's an old resistance, new support. As you can see, price reacted there. You have another one around where it is now, because this area where it's fooling around right now, this area here, I'm going to highlight it with a box. This was a resistance area. And as you can see, price is pulling back for a potential higher low. The current candle is not green. You have an inside bar. If you're interested in something like this as a swing trade, your risk is going to be defined by this, what is this low here? 147-ish. So you figure 146, you have to give it a little room. If it takes out that low, it's probably going to test that next support of 134, most likely. If it takes out the inside bar high, what is that? 164. I mean, that's a pretty wide range. I mean, this thing's moving. You have to take a lot of risk. I mean, compared to some of these other ones, this one carries a little more risk in terms of its ranges, right? This thing, can it test 190? Is that within reason? Yeah, it's still within structural reason. So the reward risk makes sense, right? You're going to risk maybe 10 points or something like that to try to make at least 20. That's within reason. So yeah, it's definitely a good candidate for a long. XMR. All right. Okay. So Gabriel, sorry it took me forever to answer that one. Okay, Cardano. John's asking about ADA. So I just put a chart together on this one too. Let me see if I can find it. It's in I think it's a Bitfinex chart. Let me see here. No, that's not it. Hold on. So did I put it against? Oh, maybe it was Binance. I think it was Binance because someone. Yeah, there we go. Someone asked about the Binance chart. So here's Cardano. Here's what I'm looking at. Right, it's on its high, very similar to DOT. It's got this situation right here. I wouldn't touch this right now for a swing trade. It looks like it perhaps could be setting up to pull back. Your supports are 34 cents and 20 cents. Those are your next supports. Can it develop a buy signal at 34 cents? Possibly, right? That could be an area for potential swing trade. If it clears that area, you're looking at probably a pullback to 20 cents. That would also be a failed low area relative to this low over here of 22 cents. So I like it for those reasons as far as a swing trade. You have some inflection points at 43 cents and 57 cents. Those are potential resistance areas, right? Based on a projection that I analyzed earlier. So I definitely like it. It's got a strong, bullish trend, higher lows, higher highs. That's all good. I just want to see a better level, and I want to see a setup and confirmation. Again, I'm talking about the swing trade perspective. If you want to see it as far as an investment, I mean, even at these highs, like I said, take a small bite, right, and work your way back, like I explained a couple of times here. So thanks for bringing that one up. Powell says XRP is beyond negative news concerns. May not even be able to trade. Right. Okay. Right. So that's why it's a good idea to stay away from it. Jay, quite a few folks saying Facebook is a good buy here. Please take a look. Actually, you know what? Facebook, Jay, you bring that up. Andrew sent this one out as a position trade on Friday. Okay, because I was talking about it as a swing trade, and then he sent it out as a position trade, which means take a small bite. Facebook is in a very good location. I'm not a big fan of the stock in general. It's a market stock, which means typically it will go where the market goes, right? So if the whole NASDAQ pulls back, this thing will probably pull back. But like I put in the chat on Friday, you cannot argue with this location, right? Great location for a long, especially as a position trade, right? Like an investment. You have an inside bar, right? You have this bullish inside bar that developed. So take a break of this inside bar high, 253.86. So you figure 254. That will be a swing trade long signal, okay? And this thing has plenty of room, even if it goes to its next resistance. I'm going to show you where that is right now. If it goes to here, what is that? 264. What is your reward risk? Well, if you buy this thing at 254 and you put your stop at, it's probably going to have to go around 245-ish, something like that. What is this low here? 244. You're probably looking at about a 10-point stop, okay? But 10 points, to go for 10 points, that's 1-to-1, it's acceptable. Okay, there are better reward risks out there, yes, but it's acceptable, all right? It's still within reason. If it clears that resistance, which it can do, right? It's Facebook, this can go back into the 270s, it's worth giving it a try. So I definitely like it as a long. Definitely on the list of long candidates. Like I said, I was going to share it as a swing trade, and I still may do that by tomorrow's open. So thank you for bringing that one up. Okay. So fundamentally, yeah, Powell's laughing. Okay, I don't even want to talk about it. Right, John, can you please? All right, so I just covered Cardano. Cool. Block, Vet, another one. Yeah, a lot of people have been asking about these, right? And when I see a lot of people asking about them, that is a red flag to me. Not because you're a bad person for asking about it. It's because the whole world is looking at them, and that means they're getting attention. Right? That's what that means. And if the whole world is looking at them and they're getting attention, that means herd mentality. And they're likely to, when, like I said, when the music stops, you have to be prepared. So I do like Vet. It's got that bullish structure. All of them, they look pretty much the same. Vet, Dot looks similar, right? As far as their bullish structures. Rune, there's one called RUNE, another one. So you got the higher low here. What is this? At 2 cents. All right, the higher low, it's going for the higher high. Now this one is a little bit different than the others. It's going for the breakout. The breakout level there is at 3 cents. Looks like it's going for it. You get that nice strong candle. Took out this little inside bar previously, okay, which is a long signal, and it's going for the breakout. This is a candidate for a breakout trade. We've had similar setups on stocks, like I think INO was one recently. I think NEO was one. I'm just going by memory. I know Hibbett Sports, HIBB, was one we called a while back. Looked very similar to this. Higher low, broke out, went for the higher high. Right. So it's a pattern. If it breaks out, you may see a push to 4 cents. Right. That's the next level that I have here on VET. So that's something to keep in mind if it breaks out. Now, here's the risk you take. If it breaks out and it fails, right, because it can fail inside of this area right here, just above that previous high. Because remember, all the breakout traders are going to pile in. If the sector, whatever, sells off or it gets absorbed, whatever, meaning all the other similar coins, the buying stops, the music stops, right, you fail here, and then you pull back. And you're looking at maybe a test of 2 cents again. So something to keep in mind. You have to make sure your risk is very well defined in these situations. But if you're going to go for the breakout, that's what I'd look for. So if it breaks out, you're looking for follow through to 4 cents. If it fails, that's when you need to make an adjustment. Don't wait until it goes back to 2 cents if you're in it. Okay, you have plenty of opportunity to get out of something like that. Just something to keep in mind. Again, I'm giving you this from the swing trade perspective. Okay, so that's Vet. I followed you from Rome. Oh, nice, Rome. I was there a long time ago. Okay, Sean. Hey, way behind in the video, but hopefully you check out gold. Yeah, so I took a look at, I took a look at gold. Took a look at gold when I was doing my portion of the analysis, because gold has been tricky. XAU, USD. And like I said, it's got the pin bar to go long. So I may send this one out as a swing trade this evening. All right, so for those of you that are members, I may send this up. We got stopped out of the previous one, but it's setting up again, right? Failed low situation. And this setup is even a little more compelling because now you have the failed low in place. A lot of shorts get sucked in at such levels, and that's why you have the pin bar. It takes out that pin bar high, you may have a run. A run back up into the high 18s, maybe low 19s. So I'm definitely still bullish on gold, and that's definitely a swing trade candidate. So I'm just repeating that from before. Let me see, I'm getting a little crazy on time here, so let me just answer a few more questions and I'll wrap this up. Let me see here. Sean, okay, so I'm just catching up on the chat. We had a higher, so Travel says, what I mean is we had a higher low but didn't manage to make the higher high yet. So Travel, yeah, it's With Bitcoin, it's a range. So range, as long as it stays within the range, it doesn't matter about the higher lows and lower highs. As long as it maintains the broader support, it's good because it's one broad higher low. Don't get confused by the price action inside of a consolidation. Often it's just random. Ricky, ZIL, a good small alt to keep an eye on. Let's take a look at ZIL. See, this chat is great because people are calling up, they're mentioning a lot of different symbols that I may not be looking at or others may not have heard of. And it's good to get like that nice, many different eyes looking at things, on the radar. It really expands the radar here. So same situation, right? This looks very similar to VET. Look at this, higher low right there, right? So we should be getting the higher high. It's going for it. Nice strong candle today. It's very similar. So I'd be anticipating the higher high on these. You want to get involved in some of these. Okay, where can this thing run? 10 cents, right? That's the previous high. That would be a reasonable expectation based on this previous high here, right? At least a test of it. Can it clear that? It's possible. Remember, like Alice mentioned earlier, there's speculative froth all over these things. So everyone piles in, and that's why it can carry through. What you have to keep in mind, because I know I'm going to get a lot of questions about this, if it clears something like this, it does something like that, people are going to say, I'm in it. Where should I get out? If this thing pulls one of those vertical moves and breaks out, you should be unloading on the vertical move. Now, not your whole position, but it's a good idea to, when you're in and everyone's buying it and it goes vertical, you take some off the table. Lock in profits at highs, okay? Not the whole position. You want to let it run, see how far it can go before you get rid of the whole thing. But it's always a good idea, always a good habit to lock in something when it breaks out, because the buyers are there. Sell to them while they're there. Okay, lock something in. It reduces your risk. It makes you a stronger hand. But I like it, right? I like this. It looks like VET. Okay, strong trend. Everything is good. So if it goes for that higher high, now the thing is, if you lock some in and it fails, hey, you've just locked some in. To people that took all that risk at that high, you've distributed your risk, and now you can buy it back at a pullback. Buy that small portion that you sold off. Right, you locked in profit. Now you could buy it back at a better price. That's the way you have to look at that. Remember, all of these are highly speculative. So, if you think, oh, I got this, I've invested, $50,000 across all these, and I should be good for the future. I don't know. These are not investment grade instruments. Just again, I have to mention that. Okay, Ricky, Link. Okay, I mentioned that. Oh, Ricky is the one with those good prices. Ricky. Right, from Link from $2. Nice, Ricky, nice. Gabriel, is there a way to mathematically associate actual probabilities to price action movements? Or is it necessary a mix of visual, art, and logic without any fundamentals? Okay, that's a really good question, Gabriel. So is there an actual way to associate actual probabilities, like getting like a Z value, right? You do some kind of calculation and it spits out some kind of, you have a 50% or a 56%, blah, blah, blah. No, I do it in an anecdotal way. When I'm talking about probabilities, it's more of like you said, like an art. And I guess you could say it's a visual art, but it comes from experience, I should say. So I'm sure there is a way to mathematically generate, taking certain variables into consideration, but I'm not a mathematician. So I have to do it in more of a anecdotal way. And it's more often than not, what it translates to, because I know people want precision, and there's really, it's not, I know of one engineer in particular, okay? The guy is like a very, very brilliant engineer. And he looks for precision. You know what? The guy has such a hard time making money because he's looking for precision. All these brains and all this knowledge and all this mathematical blah, 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 and it means nothing to the market. So that's why you have to think of it now, so I use that word probabilities, but really it's more of a behavioral thing, because the people that understand the psychology of the market are the ones that get ahead. And I'll bring up an example. I know I got to wrap this up soon because I talk too much, but I'll mention an example from many years ago when I first started out in this game. And I've mentioned this example before. There was a guy, because remember, I've been in this since '99, and there was a guy at the day trading firm where I was at, and the guy was as dumb as bricks, okay? When I say as dumb, I mean a brick probably had a higher IQ than this guy. He was dumb. But the thing is, he made good money. And I used to sit there, I'm like, man, I'm so much smarter than this guy. How is it that he's making so much more money than me? I don't understand. And it's because he understood the market from a behavioral perspective. Had nothing to do with how intelligent he was, had nothing to do with how much math knowledge he has or economic knowledge. All that means nothing to the market. You need to understand the market from a behavioral perspective. In fact, there's a whole area of research called behavioral finance that actually researches just that aspect. That's where you will find a lot of answers. And that's really the ideas, a lot of my ideas and a lot of the stuff that I do comes from that, because I've learned the hard way that that's really where all the answers are. Markets are driven by people. So you need to understand people and human nature. And mathematicians and engineers try to find these absolute measurements, and you can't measure emotion in a precise mathematical way. All right, so that's my long answer to your short question. HS, how about AION-USD? Okay, let me see if I can do that. AION-USDT. So I hope that answers your question there. All right, so this one looks like Tezos, right? Right off the bat, I'm going to put levels on here. Okay, so we have this level here. What is that? 5 cents. Okay, and we have this one over here. Resistance, 9 cents. Another one of these penny stock types. It's not a stock, but you know, it's the same idea as a penny stock. Very similar to Tezos. This is your range. You're at the high of the range. Not a good place to be taking risk, especially as a swing trader. Okay, so yeah, it might break out. It may go further. It's kind of like what Chainlink and Tezos, or you know, Chainlink has done and Tezos is trying to do. But your opportune prices are the range low, 5 cents. So, I mean, if I was going to get involved in something like this, the best thing to do is wait for that 5 cent low or something near that. Otherwise, find something better, because the chance this may fake out. Look at these other fake outs previously. It's tried a couple of times, fails. There are better charts out there. I mean, people in here have brought up better charts. I mean, even that ZIL, that potential breakout candidate, you know, and what was the other one that was breaking out? I can't even remember now. There's so many of them. VET. Those are better candidates than this, because they're going to new highs, right? Or they're going for a higher high. This one's trying to break out of a range. It's relatively weak. So if the whole sector pulls back and this thing's at its range high, where do you think it's going? That's how you have to look at these. Okay. So yeah, XRP sucks. Yes, yep. I'm just catching up on the chat here. HS, one of the worst performing asset. And that's because of that negative news, right? The news, everyone was asking about XRP, and XRP had all this promise. Just think about all the hype that XRP had before that news. No one saw that problem coming and that potential delisting situation. No one saw that coming. When XMR and those privacy coins, there was that delisting situation a couple of weeks ago, right? No one saw that coming either. That's what you need to understand about most of these. There could be some news out there that comes out of nowhere. You didn't see it coming. The chart's certainly not going to warn you about it. So who knows about this stuff? The insiders. If you're not an insider, you're at a huge disadvantage. Okay, so as I'm not an insider, right? So the only thing I can do is extract information from charts, gain some clues, and then shape my risk around the information that I can gather. You're against people that have much better information, and it's not illegal. Inside information is perfectly legal in this space. There's no oversight. In stocks, if you're an insider, there's all kinds of regulations, and you can't be sharing that with people, because if they find out, you're going to jail and blah, 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 right? So in this space, there's no regulation. So just keep that in mind. You're up against people that know when certain legislation is coming out. They probably have dates that, you know, there's no way for us to know. They know, you know, any other type of stuff that can adversely affect these things in the future. They know about it. You don't, unless you're an insider. So just something to keep in mind. We have to rely on charts, okay? And charts are they're limited when it comes to that type of stuff. So that's why you have to be very careful and find the best charts, because the best charts are the best for a reason. This one is not a best chart, okay? So I hope that makes sense. All right, travel, okay, cool. No problem. Gabriel, okay, cool. All right, so that's pretty much, I've answered everyone's questions. All right, I'm an hour and 20 minutes into it. I tried to keep this at an hour, but, you know, I like to answer everyone's questions. Anyway, all right, so thank you all for taking the time to listen. I'm going to wrap this up here. If you have another question, or maybe if I missed your question by any chance, sometimes I miss the question, I don't see it, come to our free chat room over at greenbridgeinvesting.com. We have a free chat room in there, and it's that purpose of that room is to answer questions about the market or questions about, trades, blah, blah, blah. Sometimes, someone goes in there and they're putting stuff that they're like soliciting. The room is not for soliciting. It's for answering questions, especially for newer traders, right? Trade-related questions. So please use it for that reason. And you're welcome to come visit and all that. Also, remember, Greenbridge Investing, we have swing trade signal service by text, by email, portfolio management ideas by text and email, and our active investor chat room. We have a 7-day free trial, so please check that out as well. Again, these are swing trades. Oh, Norway, nice. These are swing trades. These are not day trades. If you don't know the difference, it really pays to learn the difference. Day trades are obviously day to day. There's going to be more of them. Swing trades are much less frequent, but they're higher quality trades that look to take advantage of broader trends, right? So I'm just going to leave you with this. Bitcoin, this is a broader trend. It's bullish. Our swing trades aim to capture 1,000, 2,000, 3,000 points, where a day trade may not, it's not realistic for day trades to capture that amount consistently unless you have a really nice move. Really nice moves are infrequent. You need to understand that. So again, I point that out because people do our 7-day free trial and they're expecting tons and tons of trades, and we may call 1 or 2 trades in Bitcoin per week. Maybe that's probably a lot. That's why we scan many markets. We have a lot of stock trades. We have occasional Forex trades, occasional CFD trades, right? And altogether, it makes up for a larger population of trades. Okay, anyway, you guys. All right, Stephen, again, thank you. Thank you for stopping by. Everyone, I want to thank you for listening. And enjoy the rest of your day or evening or wherever you are in the world. Thank you again, and I will see you next time. All right, and remember, tomorrow's Talking Markets with Mark and Andrew at 4 p.m. Eastern, so stop by and check that out as well. We talk about things more on a fundamental level also. All right, so thank you all, and I'll talk to you next time. Thanks for watching.